Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, December 7th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Okay, well, we have a massive gap right now in the market. So if the market opens right where it's currently at, the first order of business will be trying to fill that gap. Now, a lot of times, gaps this large don't fill right away on the first day. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to get filled just because it starts to fill it, although there is a pretty high probability that it'll at least get halfway to filled. So the way to play that would be if the market opens and it starts to push higher, and then it comes back down through the opening price, you can short it right there at the opening price and just put your stop above whatever high it created in the morning. But then once it gets down halfway, definitely be trailing your stop or even put a partial target halfway, because it doesn't always make it when a gap is this big. It doesn't always make it all the way to filling. Okay, so that's the gap rules and something to think about here. Also, obviously, the overnight inventory is net long, so we would expect some kind of counter auction to the downside. So that adds to the probability of some kind of a gap fill. But it doesn't have to be right at the open. That's something to think about. Sometimes it does get a push higher first, then it comes back down to start filling that gap. So you don't want to short it before the market opens. You want to wait for it to pass back through that opening price. Yesterday was pretty bullish, right? We broke out of that previous downtrend that we were in, and then basically just spent the rest of the day rotating at higher prices, building up volume and spending some time above that breakout level. So that was a little bit bullish on the close yesterday. We also had value higher, which when value is this much higher than the previous day, can often be a signal of the beginning of a new trend in this direction. So a new trend to the upside. I'm not really that convinced that the market is bullish enough for a V-shaped recovery. If you zoom out and look at the daily, I mean, this market has just been volatility, central for the last week. We've already retraced a big chunk of the pullback, right? If this was the full pullback, we've already retraced quite a bit of it. So I don't think we're going to get that V-shaped recovery where we head straight back to all-time highs, but it is certainly possible. What seems like a higher probability to me is a few days of rotation sideways. So let's see what happens here at the open. As always, we take it one tick at a time, and the first order of business is a gap fill. Do they fill it or not? If they don't fill the gap, if they partially fill it and then turn around and start heading higher, that is the most bullish signal we can get. That's what's called a gap and go. Or if they fill it and then find support at yesterday's high and start moving higher, that again is a gap and go, which is pretty much the most bullish scenario you can have. And often if you're going to get a trend day to the upside, that is how it will start. Okay, so far they haven't pulled back down below that opening Sorry, guys, didn't realize my mic was off. So right now it is a gap and go. Right, the market opened and it is just pushing higher, but we do have a lot of overnight inventory that needs to be balanced. So as long they'll stay in their long trades as long as the market continues to push higher here this morning. But as soon as it pulls back down and starts to get below that opening price, they will get squeezed. However, if they continue to push it higher here, it could be the beginning of a trend day higher, as there really is nothing more bullish than a gap and go. We got to give the internals some time to absorb that overnight inventory as well. All right, well, I can't believe it, but it's still a gap and go. More buyers instantly pushing in or piling on. That is bullish. There's a lot of resistance above us getting back up into the previous balancing area. So remember, this area here was a balancing area. So getting back up into that, I've just drawn it a little bit lower than I probably should have. So getting back up into there is bullish for continuation to the other end. But there's a bunch of resistance just above us before they really break into there. You can see it in the cumulative volume over here on the left. Donkey short pass back through the open. I agree. I think, like I just said, if it gets back below that opening price from here, we're gonna start to absorb some of that overnight inventory. So I would say at least halfway is a pretty fair target. So call that like 46.30. If we get back below that opening price at 46, 47.75, I'd be looking for a push lower. Potentially even a full gap fill because there's so much overnight inventory. But as long as they have a gap and go, as Donkey's saying below here, you don't fuck with a gap and go. That is a very potent signal that the market has, everyone's in agreement. They want the market to go higher. So none of these traders are going to exit their longs until we get back below that price. And if new traders continue to pile on long, the price will just keep going up. But it feels like it's getting a little heavy. It feels like they might be running out of steam. JTrader, great overnight action. Too bad I was sleeping. I know. It's crazy to me the volatility this market continues to have. It's just able to push so far, so quickly. Kevin, gap and go. No, so a gap and go, what that means is that the market creates a gap and it continues going in the direction of the gap. That's what a gap and go means. So this is we count a gap from yesterday's regular trading hours high. So where you see this green arrow the software puts in there, that is the gap. So if it creates that gap and then it continues to go higher, that is a very potent signal. The market is bullish and wants to continue higher from there. And often when you get one of those crazy trend days where the market just keeps going all day long, those often start on a gap and go. It's still a gap and go if the market pulls back down to yesterday's high, finds support there, and continues higher. But that happens much less often when the gap is this large. Normally, if they're going to trend higher today, they won't. With a gap this big, they won't completely fill it. Where gaps start to give you a signal to go short is if the market pulls back down and then it doesn't find support at yesterday's high. That's where it starts to get bearish, that they're looking for a larger pullback. But finding support anywhere inside the gap is bullish. FRM, am I in the December contract? I am. Is it time to roll over? When is that supposed to happen? I get a notification on my calendar. The Q is up 300 points. Let's go take a look at the Q. Oh boy. That's a very big gap. And they're back into that balancing area. So we'd be looking for support right at that balancing area low. Man, this is one of those moments where the market generated information is sending me one signal, but my instincts are sending me another. It feels like the market is overbought here and needs to pull back, but the technical signals are saying all things are green. We're good to go. Perhaps my confirmation bias, expecting that gap fill this morning, is making me ignore clear information. The market wants to go higher. Yeah, it looks like the official rollover isn't until the 11th. So you're on a contract with a little less liquidity. Shouldn't be a problem if you're not a $1 million trader. But just keep that in mind when you're watching on your chart for volume. It's going to be very low. Man, I can't believe it, but this market is bullish AF. Like I said, lots of resistance in here. This whole node right here will act as resistance. But getting back into this previous balancing area is very bullish if they can hold it. If they can come back up into here and then find some support, that is just 10,000 bullish signals on top of each other. That's a stampede. So as we work our way up into this resistance, just above that previous balancing area, if we do get a pullback that finds support above that opening price, so maybe in this node right here around 46.55, That is a buyable opportunity, in my opinion, but ready to flip directions very quickly if we start to fall back below that open. Because again, that's when these overnight traders who are long start to exit their positions. And new traders start to pile on for a gap fill. But anything above this is very viable, in my opinion. Donkey, checking out Quant Trader. Yeah, let me know how that goes. That's the one with the free market profile, right? Daily chart. I mean, just look at that. Just look at that. The volatility is so crazy. I mean, we literally broke out of the downtrend yesterday. And we've now almost retraced, a big chunk of the move. I bet we're near the 618. We're past it. We blew right through the 618. That's so insane. Another potential support if the market pulls back could be that 20 moving average. Now that we've pushed back through it, it could become support, that daily 20. All right, well, I can't believe it, but I'm going bullish. We might not need a pullback here. There might be enough enthusiasm that this could be the new support up in here. I will stay bullish as long as we stay above the opening price. Yeah, Diego, you got the right idea. You're figuring it out. And I would not feel the least bit bad about that. Today was a tough day to trust this push. It's hard to understand what markets are doing. It's not like we've had any crazy good news. It's like people are just conditioned to buy the dip. I don't know. I can't really explain it. Brian's saying the volatility could end in the next day or two if the crush will get real heavy on the gap and go. Talking options to me. Sounds good. Fausto, everyone's invested in the market. People's paychecks go into their 401ks. Yeah, but that's not this kind of momentum. There's not that many people getting paid on a Tuesday to cause this to happen in the market. This is money managers, big billion-dollar money managers going, shit, I guess we got to buy. They got caught on the wrong side of the market, and now they're getting back into their positions. It's just crazy. Trading Donkey, feel like I missed the move. Yeah, I mean, I would say at this point an entry long is in support. Wait for a pullback. Could be here, could be here. But if this continues into the B period, don't get left behind. Rocket, feel free to share with us those trade ideas before you enter them. Short the bonds, long the rut, and the ES. If I was to, I want to pull back and then one time framing, you and me both. Wouldn't that be nice if the market just came right into support, either here or down here, and then we watch those ticks start to trend higher, and then the market just one time frame the rest of the day? Be a beauty. But I find the market rarely makes it easy for you. Well, Charles, what about the ticks trending down? That's just absorbing that overnight inventory. The fact that we're staying up here is buyers continuing to buy. All right, so that resistance did not take much. Took 10 minutes to push through. All right, pulls value a little bit higher here. B period so far creating a poor high. That might give us a push away, looking for support. Obviously, if they instantly repair it, that's more bullish, and there they go. Let's jump over and take a look at the Q. Same thing. Meet how am I using Windows in a Mac? It's called Parallels, desktop Parallels. So it's actually running two computers simultaneously. It's running OS and Windows. Hence why it gets a little glitchy from time to time. Jason Bourne in the house. What an honor to have you, sir. Welcome. Dabeep, market says big tech bubble. Never heard of it. I know, it's very weird. We've been waiting for this everything bubble to burst for years now. And I really thought, if anything, that pullback could have been the market's chance. And apparently, too early. Apparently, this bubble is still going. All right, well, so far it's moving like a trend day. Push higher, build volume, push higher, build volume, push higher, build volume, push higher, starting to build volume. So if you're going to go long into this, use very tight stops because it does need a pullback at some point, but this is very bullish. Jack, these trend days are tough to get on board unless you're early. I agree. They are not making it easy. But that's why it's happening, right? FOMO. People who are waiting to get in down here are giving in and getting in up here. That's why it's continuing. The fear. is that people will miss their chance, and so they'll buy at higher prices. Albert, I don't know what you're responding to, but meaning not many sellers or profit takers? Correct. The people who have gotten long are staying in their trades, expecting further upside continuation, and new buyers are joining the party. Often when you get a trend like this, it can last for hours before they finally start to pull back and then rotate sideways. All right, so now the question, will previous resistance become support right around that 70 to 72 level? If not, next support is down there at 63. Tuttle, if we get acceptance in the tail of profit, does that make sense that we will travel the distance of the tail? No. I mean, we would consider the entire gap excess. So all of this is excess from here up to here. I doubt we get that much higher. That would be like new all-time highs. So more likely the trend lasts as long as it will last, and then the market either goes sideways or later in the day it pulls back to try to fill that gap. Excess does not lead to more excess. Excess leads to balance. Well, you don't have to, Donkey. You could always wait for the trend to come to an end. Wait till you see the cessation of one time frame and then go short to backfill some of the excess. You don't have to catch it on the way up. But I hear what you're saying. It's crazy. And it's not crazy that we had a breakout that led to excess. It's crazy how much excess. That's what's crazy. All right. Is that resistance becoming support? Too early to say. Harry, do I only ever long when tick is above zero? No, of course not. Sometimes the best opportunities to get long are when the ticks are down here. But you look for a sign that they're getting overbought. I'm sorry, oversold. Brian, yesterday doesn't have value with its triple distribution. No, I mean it's of course it has value. Value just shows us where 70% of the day's trade took place. And there was no triple distribution. That's a single profile. Maybe you're talking about the NQ. NQ had a double distribution. So this is a great learning thing. People always ask about single prints. Explain single prints to me. So when you get single prints like this, where there's just one letter going across like that, it increases the odds that at some point in the day, the market will pull back and backfill that. So when it doesn't happen, it becomes a when what should happen doesn't, which means it's kind of a signal to the opposite. And so we look at that like there was some kind of change in the market that took place here. What did that change do? It pushed the market higher and then found support higher. So we would see that as bullish. Obviously, it's too late to mention it, but at the close yesterday, you could have seen those single prints as bullish. Man, the NQ is feeling it. Bullish AF. Next potential resistance is going to be this node of volume at 16,295. Back to the ES. They just keep on buying. Yeah, keep on buying. Buying everything. Keep on buying. Albert, it seems like the NQ's daily chart resistance trend line from the all-time high is currently blocking price. Let's take a look. I don't think I agree with that, but let's see. Yeah, so I'd say we're working our way through that trend line right now. And what is more interesting to me is the balancing area, that we opened inside of this morning. It's quite common when you look below a balance and pull back up into it that you rotate to the opposite end to test the highs. Same as the ES. If the market does get a larger pullback, you could find support on that 20 daily simple moving average. Right there. But at the moment, momentum is in control. FOMO. Lahab, I am in a position. Design world peace achieved. You would think it would take something like that to cause this. Jitten, I don't think this has anything to do with the futures. They are pumping the underlying assets. I agree. I mean, I think what happened last week was they rolled over. They rolled out of risk-on assets into risk-off assets, and they've just changed their mind over the weekend. I don't know what it was. No clue why. But something happened. And I guess it was purely just because Fauci said, I mean, it can't be that. I have no clue why, but they changed their minds and they're rolling back. Mediterra, weekly fib around here. Yeah, I mean, surely we must be able to find some resistance somewhere in here. $126 people watching, 40 likes. Smash that like if you're a bull. Smash that like button. Let us know how you feel. Bow Bow, was it like this last year before the holidays? No. This is crazy. This amount of volatility. I mean, I suppose we kind of got that in October. I mean, this was a lot of volatility too in here. But My God, it's turning into a V shape. Disbelief, I feel. Disbelief. Watch, it's just a giant dead cat bounce. But no, here's last December on the daily. Couple little dips, but just a slow melt higher. Very, very different. All right, seems like the market's finally getting some resistance. So looking for a pullback. If they get those ticks below the zero line. First support is going to be this same area around 75 where we just found support earlier in the B period. And then if not, around 63 down here. Harry, tick trending down. Yeah, at the moment. It's a sign that we're running out of steam. Okay, not great taper at the high here. 10,000 contracts to 6,000 to 2,000 to 1,000. It feels like they need to get one more little push. But this might be resistance. Charles, why does taper matter? What do you care about taper? Well, what this super steep drop off in volume up here at the high tells us is that there's likely one of two things at play here. Either the people that are already long are taking profits in here, but new buyers are stepping in to buy up those new sellers that are taking profits on their longs. And so that is bullish and looking for further upside continuation because there's still new buyers entering. Or it's sellers piling on, right? They're trying to short this exact level, this exact area where they're sensing resistance. And so it could either work for them or not. If they're new sellers that are just short-term traders trying to pile on here. How do I know they're short-term? Because of the exactness of it. Because they're piling on literally at one specific level. And that's why we're getting such a steep cliff. So if they're right and they break to the downside, then it's fine. They can get their pullback, looking for support. But if they fail, once again, it'll lead to them getting squeezed and a push higher. So we much prefer to see the volume taper off slowly So it would look like 10,000, 8,000, 6,000, 4,000, 2,000, 800. Seeing the contracts kind of taper off like that is a better sign that the two-way auction came to an end. Whereas having one giant node like this means battle is being fought here, and it's likely the short-term traders doing it. So we don't trust that because they can be squeezed very easily. So as we print the C period here in 1 minute, we'll be watching for one time framing. We'll be looking for the C period to get above the B period high and stay above the B period low. So if the C gets down here below the B period low, we're likely to get that pullback and start sort of sideways action. But if they can get back above the B period high and keep the C period low above the B low, the trend is intact and will continue. We also have some nice potential support right at the base of those single prints, both because it's the base of the single prints and the volume node just below it. All right, guys. So if you've been waiting to go long all day, this is about your best chance right here. You'd have to accept this much risk, 2 ticks below the B low. So you'd be entering at 77 with your stop at 72.75. You'd have to accept that much risk, which is, that's a decent amount if you're going long ES. But the potential upside is further continuation. And of course, if we get that cessation, if we get 2 ticks below the B period low, look for the market to start to go sideways. Where it finds support could tell you, give you a better idea. So essentially, we break that B period low, market starts to pull back. If it immediately finds support, we probably go sideways at higher prices. If it doesn't, we're heading down to try to backfill that gap. Good luck. It's a great day to trade. So I hope y'all enjoy it. And if you're in the Brigade, I shall see you in the private stream. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.